Okay, listen to this. A woman is lying completely still, sound asleep, when suddenly her entire body jerks as if someone shook her awake. But here's the thing, there's no one there. You can actually see the way her head snaps to the side, her hands twitching like she's being pulled into a nightmare she can't escape. Then it gets worse. A guy is lying in bed, clearly awake, scrolling on his phone. Out of nowhere, his blanket starts sliding off the bed, slow at first, then faster, like invisible hands are yanking it away. He freezes, his breathing changes, and before he can even react, something grips his ankles and drags him halfway across the mattress. He's fighting it, grabbing at the sheets, but whatever it is doesn't let go. And this next clip, completely disturbing. A woman is sitting upright in her sleep, her body twisted in these unnatural, painful-looking angles. Her eyes stay closed the entire time, but it's like she's being controlled. The way her head tilts back slowly, then snaps forward, it doesn't even look human. What really messes with people is what happens at exactly 3:07 a.m. A man is seen rising slowly off his bed, like something underneath is pushing him upward. His back arches, his arms drop limply to his sides, and for a few seconds he's suspended midair. When his body finally drops, the mattress actually shakes like someone else just landed on it with him. And the scariest part? Every single one of these recordings happened between 3 and 4 a.m., the so-called witching hour. Researchers who studied the footage claim there's no logical explanation, but locals believe the houses were built over land tied to old rituals. Not long after, another clip surfaced from a small apartment where the tenant had been complaining about waking up covered in scratches. At first, people thought it was just a case of sleepwalking or stress. But then the camera caught her being lifted slightly off the mattress, her arms spreading out like someone invisible was holding her down. What's even more terrifying is the way her mouth opens wide, like she's screaming, but no sound comes out. In another case, a college student set up a camera after hearing knocking sounds on his walls every night. For the first few hours, nothing happened. Then around 3:33 a.m., you can see his door slowly creak open on its own. He's fast asleep, but the blankets slide off him inch by inch. Right when the last corner of the blanket slips off, his desk chair suddenly spins around by itself, facing the bed as if something sat down to watch him sleep. And then there's the farmhouse footage. This one looks straight out of a horror movie. A man wakes up gasping for air, clutching his chest, and the lights flicker in the room even though the switch is off. You can see shadows crawling along the walls, bending and twisting in ways that don't make sense. He gets pulled violently against the headboard, his body stiff, like he's pinned by invisible hands. His phone camera drops to the floor but keeps recording, and you can hear him begging, his voice breaking, before the video cuts out. Another recording shows a woman in the middle of her living room, asleep on the couch. At first, she looks peaceful, but then her body stiffens, her neck turns sharply, and she slowly rises into a sitting position without using her hands or legs. The moment her head jerks backward, the television turns on by itself, static filling the screen, and she just stares at it blankly with her eyes still closed. The part that gets everyone? All these events happen in completely different locations, yet the timestamps line up almost perfectly between 3 o'clock and 3:40 a.m. People who analyze the raw footage notice that electronic devices would malfunction every single time. Phones losing battery, lights flickering, cameras distorting. Almost like something didn't want to be filmed. And witnesses say the experiences don't end when the camera is shut off. Victims report waking up with bruises, deep scratches along their backs, and a constant feeling of being watched. Some even moved out of their homes, but the activity followed them, as if whatever force they encounter had attached itself to them permanently. There's another case that still has investigators divided. A man living alone in a small studio had complained to his landlord that something was wrong with the wiring because the lights would flicker every night. But when he set up a night vision camera, what it captured had nothing to do with electricity. Around 3:18 a.m., his body begins to shift on its own. At first, it looks like tossing and turning, but then his legs lift upward, as if someone is dragging him by the ankles. The strangest part is that his face never changes. He stays completely expressionless, almost like he isn't even aware of what's happening to his body. In another recording, a teenager left her laptop camera running while she fell asleep on her bed. The footage shows her sleeping peacefully until her closet door bursts open without warning. You can see clothes swaying inside, as though someone rushed out of the closet, even though the room is empty. She wakes up halfway, dazed, sits up, and then something yanks her hair so hard that she falls back down onto the mattress. What's chilling is that she doesn't react like someone in pain. Her body just goes limp, almost like she was pulled into another state of consciousness instantly. And then there's the viral basement footage. A group of friends decided to spend the night in an abandoned house that locals swore was haunted. They set up multiple cameras, laughed about it, treated it like a joke. But around 3:09 a.m., every single device they had, phones, cameras, even their flashlights, shut off at the exact same second. When the video came back, only one camera had survived, and it shows him sitting in the dark, whispering nervously. Out of nowhere, one of the guys gets pulled backward across the floor, screaming and clawing at the tiles, while the others try to grab him or push back by something they can't see. His body disappears into a corner of the basement. And when they finally get the lights back on, he's gone. They find him 5 minutes later, unconscious at the top of the stairs with long, deep scratches across his chest. A different case shows something even stranger. A young woman is caught on camera whispering in her sleep. At first, it sounds like nonsense, but when slowed down, the words become clear. She's repeating the exact same phrase in a language she never spoke in her life. Researchers who studied the audio said it matched an ancient dialect tied to burial rituals that hadn't been used for hundreds of years. And as soon as the phrase ends, her entire body levitates several inches above the bed before collapsing back down, leaving her gasping for air. The more you look into these recordings, the more patterns appear, always between 3 o'clock and 3:40 a.m., always involving physical contact, scratches, pulling, dragging, always leaving behind some kind of mark or proof. And here's what unsettles experts the most. In several of the clips, if you brighten the footage just enough, faint outlines of figures start to appear, not fully formed, not clear enough to explain, but they're in the shadows, as if whatever force was tormenting them didn't mind being caught on camera. And still, every victim says the same thing, that even after the activity stopped, even after they left their homes or threw away the cameras, they could still feel it, that constant weight in the room, the sense that someone else was breathing just inches away from their face while they slept.